Yeah, I think you hit it, nail on the head. I think you have to look at, it's kind of funny. I was having this conversation with my wife the other day,
Yeah.
like, because I do so much for my body and I do so much
Yeah.
for myself and my performance, my mental performance, my physical performance. And some people kind of look at me and go, "Man, you do a lot." And it's like,
Yeah.
well, I have to. Like, and this
Yeah.
is my job.
Yeah.
Like, my job is to perform, and there's a lot of different things that go into that. Like I said, mentally, physically, even emotionally, off the
Yeah.
field, on the field. Like, you have to be well rounded and be able to monitor your emotions, monitor your thoughts. All these different things play into it. Um, and I almost look at myself as a small business owner.
Wow.
Mitch
Yeah.
Haniger, the athlete, is my own
Yeah.
business.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then you can even go into talking about how you have different personas. Where I can't be the athlete, or I try not to be the athlete when I'm home with my wife
Sure.
and I want to hang out. And my wife's pregnant, so we're gonna have a child soon. I can't be.
Wow.
If I want to be the
Congrats.
dad, I can't. I have to be able to switch out of that persona when I go to the field and I'm facing the guy throwing 100 miles an hour.
100%.
There has to be different things. So you kind of, and that's hard to learn. I think that comes with experience. So a lot of the things I feel like I've gotten better at over the years or learned over the years, I couldn't have just done them earlier.
Yeah.
If someone told me, it's come with experience. But I guess I'm always looking to speak to other guys, veteran players, and just learn about everything. I think it's really, I'm always in that growth mindset, just trying to soak stuff in and see if
Yeah.
it applies to me. Some stuff that might work for you. If I take in and try it out and I don't find it works, you have to find whatever makes you tick better and makes
Sure.
you work.
That again. So now look at that as the simplicity of the mind. So when you're at the field, what's it like what would set you up, or what gives you the position to at least be able to make the best choices when you're at the field mentally? Like, what have you noticed from that transition, the media outlet, the win-loss column, when you're playing Major League Baseball? What is like the things where you go, hey, like, I can't stress about this, or I know the answer to this and I need to actually start implementing that into my life, right? Like, how do you comprehend or become aware faster in a mental, emotional capacity so that you can see those things?
I would just say experience a little bit. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
getting better at, but for me, kind of always going back to like control what you can control.
Sure.
Um, I can't control whether what guys write about me or
Yeah.
when people are saying bad stuff. So I don't really care. I don't
Right.
really. I can't control what they write. I can't control when people are saying what or.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, why am I going to stress about it?
Yeah.
And just focus on what I can control. And that's for me. It's always been come to the field every day and prepare to win.
Mm-hmm.
Come to the field and mentally, physically, set an example for guys looking that are, because I'm a big believer of your thought process and your how you go about your business rubs off on other people.
Okay.
If you're a guy who's really well-rounded and a hard worker, and you get thrown into a team where nobody does anything and everyone's lazy,
Right.
it's probably going to rub off on you over time. Maybe
Yeah.
just a little bit here and there, and then slowly kind of compounds. But if you're vice versa, if you're a guy who doesn't really work hard, but you get thrown into a team where, for instance, I always look at like the New England Patriots.
Sure.
If you're a guy who kind of just goes about his business and doesn't really do much and is not fully there, and you get thrown into the Patriots, and it's like, oh man, you look around you and everybody's doing stuff. Tom Brady's studying, like this is the Patriot way.
Yeah.
You either fit in or you get out.
Yeah.
And if you don't figure it out fast enough, we'll make that decision for you, and you're going to get cut or released or whatever. So that's what I was kind of trying to. If someone's watching me, and I try to be the same when someone's not looking, as far as when someone is watching. So,
Yeah.
but like I want to rub off on people, and I think that if I rub off on people, it's going to help because I've taken a lot of pride in my work ethic and how I go. Whether it's lifting or hitting or mental strength stuff, you need to learn and understand yourself as best as you possibly can when you're coming up through the minor leagues. Always be looking to figure yourself out, because like for one guy, stretching may be his thing. Stretching may be really, really good for him.
Sure.
And for another guy, it might be lifting heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just one small example. But what I'm saying is that goes across like hitting with mechanics, that goes across breathing or meditation or whatever. You could just be sitting in the corner listening to music by yourself.
For sure.
And find out what your little things are that help you get the best out of yourself. So when you get traded or when you get cut or released and you sign with a new team, you're not relying on the coaching staff. You're not relying on although you are getting information from them and they're helping you, but you know yourself the most. So how could someone tell you what to do, as far as just always listening to other people and always listening to other input? And I kind of want to be my own little expert at each field, so that wherever I go, I have all the info in my head. I don't need to rely on people for this and that. But always looking for help too. I've always been very sedentary before I go to the field.
Okay.
So I would wake up, make breakfast, hang out with my wife, watch TV, play with my dog in the backyard. But I really wouldn't walk around. And I think this off season I started walking a ton. And there was a point through all these different injuries I've had that walking was all I could do. So I was up to like 10 to 15 miles a day just walking. Yeah. And it would take me like 2.5, 3 hours, and I would just walk like crazy. And that really helped. And I like just something that makes your body feel better. Yeah. So, once I get back into playing again, I'm going to try to really get a good walk in every morning before I go to the field, just to kind of wake my body up. And also, I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about. Same with breathing, but there's so many benefits to just walking.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. But then if you go back and you look back in time, people had to walk for everything. Yeah. And, maybe the last 100 years is when we really started driving everywhere, started using transportation and not walking. Yeah. You didn't have access to water in your fridge. You had to go walk for the water. You had to go do everything. You had to go hunt for your food. Yeah. So there's all these things, if you look back on that, they make us feel good for a reason. Modern life now is much different than how we evolved for thousands of years. Off season, and the reason why I do all this stuff is because I like it and I feel better when I do it. So when I go home and I fast in the off season and I go to sleep early and I wake early and I spend a lot of time outdoors, I feel really good. And I feel like in the season, I've kind of been in that mindset or not mindset, but that loop where it's sleep, wake up, eat, go to the field, come back home, sleep, wake up, go to the field. And it's just over and over and over. But I think it's going to be crucial for me. And then off days was like, I just want to lay in bed all day and watch movies and sleep. Sure. But I think getting outside and getting into the water and doing stuff like that is going to be really beneficial. Because that's what I do in the off season, and I feel great.
Yeah, well, it's almost like it's also counterintuitive to how we kind of thought early on too, because you used to look at your off day as, let me just lay here and that'll recover me. But it's almost the opposite. It's like, well, actually movement or being on the beach with my feet in the sand and around the sun and with my wife and my dog is actually emotionally checking me off, mentally checking me off, and then physically I'm just actively recovering. And you said a really cool thing there where I think a lot of athletes could tremendously benefit from, in the sense of you need to be dialed in on your other areas, right? So when you talk about your other areas, and just, I mean, obviously it's a weird time with where baseball's at and how you guys are living in general, but when you say other areas where if I can't dominate necessarily the sleep that I want, or I have to eat late at night, what is the thing that you double down on? Is that your breathing focus, or is that your focus on that sense? Is that sort of the trajectory shifting of that's where I'm going to double down here on breath work, and I'm going to just have to deal with my evening meal or my late night travel?
A little bit of that. I would just say a mixture of both. So just making sure that I'm not eating fast food, that for sure. If I have to eat late, at least I'm going to eat really healthy food. In the mornings, like in the middle of the day, I'm not making bad choices on where I eat or what I eat. Yeah. And making sure that I do take some time and sleep is a huge priority for me. My goal every day is to spend, I wear Oura rings, so I track my sleep. I've had the Whoop too. I use them both. I think for me, my goal every day is to spend 10 hours in bed. I don't always sleep 10 hours, but because people think that, I got into bed at 11, I woke up at 7, I slept 8 hours. No, you didn't. You were waking up in the middle of the night. You might have went to the bathroom. You toss and turn. Like you're not actually asleep for those hours you spend in bed. So my goal is, if I feel like if I can spend 10 hours in bed, I'm going to be sleeping for at least 8.5. And hopefully more so 9.5. But that doesn't happen.